Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Welcome back to the Friends in Recovery podcast. I'm Jersey Ed, along with Noontime with Sky and Tiff. We also have a special guest today, Carl, again. Jesus
Hello.
Christ. Does he don't you have a home? Anyway,
Can't get rid of me.
We'll go into that a little bit more. First off, I'd like to thank Genesis House for the ongoing support of these meetings, of course. We couldn't do it without them, and we're very happy for Genesis House support for us. This week's show is going to be Step 2. Again, we're doing this step of the month, guys. It's February, Step 2. Step 2, Part 2. So stay tuned for some amazing recovery. Real quick. We just turned 3 years old, guys. Friends in Recovery turned 3 years old. So this is our third year, guys.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Carl will be here all
Confetti
week.
just fell. Ooh.
I know. When you edit this, you gotta throw in like some birthday music there.
Yeah. Oh, God. Sober shout outs. Email us with your sober shout outs to friendsinrecoverypodcast.com or comment below. Let's get those comments flowing. We had some good comments from us last show. Now let's get everybody else participating in there.
we had comments, but
we had comments.
other people to comment. Yeah.
Don't you have a little some giveaways, Ed?
I do have some giveaways.
If they comment below.
That's right. Thank you, Tiff. And
that was a good transition.
Yeah, thank you so much. And our giveaway today. No. Yes, I do. We have some Genesis House t-shirts, guys, like the ones that Skylar's wearing. Not the jacket that Tiff is wearing, but Genesis House t-shirts. So how you get those, you want to send us your sober shout outs to help at friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. And we'll just pick 2 at random. And also, you got to be a large because that's all we have. That's all I was given. So
can they put, is it just sober shout outs or can they put any sober date?
Any sober date. It's not today. It's not this month. It's any sober date in there. Put it out. And that goes for you too, Sober Pod people. We like to welcome the Sober Pod listeners. That goes for you too, guys.
And the Sober Pod listeners, they actually need clothes. That's kind of the deal. So that's really helpful.
We'll be making a huge donation to Sober Pod of Genesis House's t-shirts. No, that goes for everybody. So please put it in there. We'll pick randomly. We have a computer generated random No, we don't. We really don't. You guys thought we did, didn't you? No, we don't.
It's monitored by the Florida State Lottery.
Yes, the Florida State Lottery picks them. Anyways, so Tiff, real quick before we get into your stuff, Tiff, some of the books we're going to be using today, the literature is going to be the 12 and 12. We're going to do 27, use page 27 through 33. Tiff, of course, the big book. She's going to read from page 567. Skylar, How and Why, Basic Text, and the Step Work Guide. And Carl also is going to have the Herb K book that he's going to use.
And I want to add one more on there. Penthouse Forum issue 66. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that where it's coming from.
Penthouse Forum.
Fall for it every time.
It's a really interesting article. It's just super interesting.
Well, I'll go into my comment I got later about our last show. So, anyways.
Yeah, I want to hear that later.
You didn't.
People stick around. No,
All right. Anyways, go ahead. Tiff, what do you got for us?
Well, I have just a quick public service announcement about our twice daily meetings that we offer at Friends in Recovery at both noon and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as, we have all of our additional meetings. For example, the Alumni and Friends, which is at 8:15 on Tuesday nights. And it's such a large, great meeting. It's awesome. And then, of course, I also have to plug out my big book study, which is at our regular 7 p.m. meeting on Sundays. So join us for all this fun and meetings at noon and 7, and then you can
all
find
those times
all
are
those
Eastern,
meetings
right?
at genesishouse.net under connections. And we have a 30 meeting coin challenge. Carl, do you have your coin? Are you prepared?
I don't have it with me. It's in the coin.
Okay, well,
slot.
we have
I do.
Skylar's got it in her condom package.
In the
So,
condom package.
Attend any 30 Friends in Recovery meetings, and you will earn the highly sought after Friends in Recovery Zooming Through Recovery coin. And it's a beautiful coin. And like I said, it's highly sought after. So that's all I have, Ed.
All right. Thank you. Back to you in the newsroom, Ed. Come on. Got to say that. Just say that
back
one.
to you. Over and out.
In the Friends in Recovery room. Over and out. That's a CH reference.
Yeah, right. Shout out.
Back to Ed and Chopper 7.
Yeah. Now Skylar will do the weather for us.
Skylar,
right.
News 9.
Yeah.
So we have different ways to get involved on social media. On the Genesis House Facebook page, you want to go and like the groups that are attached to it. There's a Friends in Recovery community. There is a Friends in Recovery Adventures community. There's also the alumni only group. But mainly I have ways you guys can get involved with service. That you guys can just reach out to me. Like, you don't have to be an alumni to get involved in our alumni community and Friends in Recovery community. So it's open to anybody. And then also we have this thing called Telegram. It's an app, and we all text each other on a daily basis, and it's a way we all stay connected. So download it and get on our thread. We want to see, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So once you download Telegram, you have to search for Friends in Recovery. Is that how you get onto it?
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. If not,
That is. You search
just
for
email
Friends
it.
in Recovery and send a request to be part of the group.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So now, and we have Carl left. He will provide us with dick pics at this point. So
I will.
we
if
had
you guys,
to get in there, guys.
I took 2 dick pics a day for the last 7 days since we last met, and if you want to see them, just stick
Hey,
around.
my
we
God.
got some airplay from that. I got
And
some
sign up for the
comments
Sober
about
Pod
that.
membership.
Yeah, it comes with a Silver Pod membership. If you can handle all
I got you,
14
see?
dick pics, yeah,
Plug that in.
great. It's great.
That was good, Sky.
We're not going to be talking about dick pics on every show. I'm
Never.
just letting
We're
my
not.
grandma know that. Who
What?
got a new wig. She got a new wig this week. That was a great thing. But just so my grandma knows, we're not talking about dick pics.
Okay.
Grandma's cut
Okay,
this out. Cut this
but
out.
now, okay, so apparently Grandma just goes the other way. What about cleavage clips? Okay, is she down into cleavage clips or no? Because I
No,
just
but
saying.
she is kind of seedy. So
Okay, well, maybe she could go into the cleavage clips. So, Ed, what was the feedback that we got on our wonderful dick pic expressions?
I got a very nice text message from a very nice gentleman up in.
Was it your boss?
Massachusetts. No, it's not. My boss could care the least about what we do here. I'm
That's
serious.
wonderful.
He doesn't even
That's
know
great.
this exists. If he did, we'd be off there immediately.
That's great.
Oh God, no! Just a friend of mine said that he goes, "I'm listening to the dick pic right now." I'm like, "Oh, great!" All right, that's enough. Grandma's getting
Maybe-
upset now.
Yeah,
so.
oh, geez. Well, again, cleavage
Anyways,
clips.
all right. So, guys, we decided we're going to do something real quick here, right? Because this every week, and we're going to ask you guys too to email us or comment below. Email us at helpatfriendsandrecoverypodcast.com. I'm going to ask a question every week, and just a quick short answer from each one of us so people can get to know us. And we're going to come up with different, like maybe it's what's your favorite color one week, or what's your favorite restaurant, or I'll keep the DPs out of this one, but anyways, so the question, you be quiet, Carl.
I didn't say that. It's all in your mind now. Now it's all festering in your brain, okay? The rest of us moved on. You're the only one left.
That's right. So the question of this week is, what is your lesson of the week? So I'm asking the listeners, SoberPod listeners and Friends in Recovery listeners, email us or comment below your lesson in a week. And I'm going to start with Skylar. What's your lesson in a week?
So this week, I think the lesson I need to learn and did learn was more about time management and more about like self-care in that time, because I had a really started the semester on campus this week, and juggling that with sponsor, step work, and then my meetings. It was just, I was exhausted like every day. So I think that throwing some meditation in there, having some self-care, slowing down is really what I had to kind of take a look at this week for sure.
Very good. Very good. Thanks, Kai. Tiff, of course, ladies first. Tiff.
All right. My lesson of the week, I spent some time actually this week at Genesis House, and it was just incredible to be a part of the whole energy of recovery again, early recovery, spending time with clients. I got to sit in groups with clients that, some had 4 days, some had 40 days, and just that I had some humility this week because I was taught how hard these people are working for recovery. And having that remembrance of how hard I worked in recovery in those early days. And it just really humbled me. And I really, so I would say my lesson of the week was really humility, just being part of that aura, that energy of early recovery, and really appreciating where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm. And
Nice.
Thanks, Tiff, and welcome to the Genesis House team. We're looking forward to working with you. And
I'm excited.
Yep, absolutely. So, Carl, what do you got? What's your lesson in the week, Carl?
I knew Tiff was a plant. I knew it. I know she's just a corporate shill, man.
That's right.
Yeah,
Week in and week out. She talks about her kids in Genesis House. Kids in Genesis House.
That's it. Back and forth, back.
You wouldn't think she went there.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't even go there. Sky went there.
I know.
Tiff talks more about than Skylar does.
Sky's the one who got me to go down there and visit it because he talked about it so greatly all the time. I was like,
right.
I got to see this place.
Right.
That's right.
Did you spend time with those horses?
I did spend time with those. They had miniature horses there.
They're
Oh my
cool.
gosh, it was so cool. They had miniature horses. They had yoga. It was like this oasis retreat. If I would have went to Genesis House, I would still be there. I'd be like, I need 2 years of recovery in a residential setting, please.
Just touching those horses will ensure recovery. That's from
Oh,
what I
yeah.
hear.
Oh, yes,
It's like-
yes.
Yeah.
There was brushing. You could dress them up, all sorts of things.
You put horns on them like a unicorn and shit.
Yes,
Like
you
really
could.
trip out those newcomers that are still having flashbacks.
Yeah,
Like,
you
oh
know,
shit.
Make them into a unicorn. You could put a crown on. You could dazzle the horse.
Dazzle the horse. Put staples in them.
Barbie all
No,
over.
guys, we do. No animals were harmed at
No, there
our
was no hot glue
horse
used in
day.
the process.
Go to our Facebook page and you'll see what we're talking about, guys. That's what Carl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what's the question again? What did I learn?
What's your lesson of the week?
Oh, what's
Everybody
my
has a lesson of the week.
Yeah. I kind of got two of them, but I'm going to pick one, which is, confrontation can be a good thing, right? It can be, it's not something that we have to run away from. It is something that we can use to progress our lives and how we interact with other people. And, let's just say confrontation, it doesn't have to be personal, right? I didn't have to take things personal. I don't have to like really, do it in that way. So, once it was over the confrontation, I can step away from it and see it for what it is today. And it's lessons learned. It's learning process. It's growth. Those are the types of things that we need to look at confrontation for, as long as you're not doing it in a harmful way and you're not going to burn down their house afterwards. I think, and you're doing it for the right reasons. I think that, and you have the right intentions with it, I think it can be a good thing. And I saw that in an interaction that I had this last week. And and I got a nice email afterwards, so it's kind of nice.
Very good.
Cool.
Thank you, Carl. So right now we have self-care, humility, and confrontation in a positive way.
Why do I have to have the confrontation test? Can't you find another way, a positive way to say
the
that?
one who sent the dick
Why
pic.
does it need?
Yeah, exactly. You're the one. Grandma, that was your granddaughter, not us.
Pics are not confrontational. They're not confrontational.
Done. Guys, my lesson of the week hit me hard, and it was in a meeting during the week, and there was a speaker, and the speaker wasn't, I'm not going to get into it, but they weren't exactly the speaker that I'm used to hearing. And at first I started tuning them out, and I was like, oh, what the fuck, man, what's going on here? What the fuck? Right. And then I'm like, you know what? There's a lesson in this. I'm going to learn something from this. The lesson is going to be, I have to listen. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody's on the same path that I'm on, the same journey that I'm on, and not everybody does exactly what I do, or this, this program isn't exactly made for the way I thought it would be made. And once I started listening, and once I started keeping an open mind, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, that's when that message came strongly through, because I had to listen, I had to watch, I had to hear, I had to do everything to understand. And it was probably one of the best speakers that I've ever heard personally, because I had to really, really kind of understand that this person was just pouring his heart or their heart and soul out. And there was an amazing message, just like everybody else was. And again, it wasn't cherry picked, like handed off to me. I had to really listen to it and really enjoy what he was doing and what he was saying. So they were saying. So that was my lesson of the week, is just basically, understanding people, So
I'm sorry, Ed, I wasn't listening. Can you repeat that?
What was cool is that we were in a room full of people, Ed and I, listening to this speaker, and Sky was on Zoom, and you could feel the energy in the room as people started to realize how much adversity this speaker had to overcome, to have the courage to share his story. And it was like, it was really an awesome experience to be a part of.
It was, yeah. Tiff and I were and Skylar had that experience. So that was unbelievable. So that was my lesson of the week. So guys, the show. Are we done yet? Can we go home?
We got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, good. Step 2, came to believe a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And that's what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks now. And we're going to keep talking about it to the end of the month until we hit to the tradition. So
go back and start 2 episodes ago, so you guys can all catch up. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. Go listen. God damn it. So I want to start it off by saying this, and this is in, I believe it's on page 27, halfway down the last,
12 and 12.
12 and 12, page 27, halfway down the last paragraph. It says, you can, if you wish, make AA itself your higher power. And that is kind of somewhat of the way that I came into step 2 and into the rooms. And I've quickly, and we'll go into the back, we'll go into more of the pages, but I quickly understood what God was to me. But I had to understand, like, this group was much bigger than what I thought it was, much bigger than me. This group is something I can grab onto. This group is something that I can be part of. and it was just something bigger and better and faster and stronger than I've ever seen in my life. Right? You walk into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they're hugging each other, they're handshaking, they're high fiving, they're holding
Laughing.
hands at the end, laughing. Who the fuck laughs in recovery? Everybody does.
Without
right?
drugs and alcohol,
I
laughing.
know,
Yeah.
right? How crazy is that? So that really stood out to me in this second part that we were reading under, and we're going to start kind of identifying our higher power. I think in this part, we're going to kind of go over some of the higher power definitions in here. And I was speaking to a good friend of all of ours here, Rob H. And he told me, I said, Rob, what's your thoughts on step 2? He said, open-mindedness and staying open. And it's true. My higher power isn't your higher power. Your higher power isn't my higher power. And once I open my mind to whatever my higher power will be, might malfunction. I'm going to be okay, because there's no right or wrong with a higher power. Right? I mean, I don't think there is. And if you keep reading through 27 to 33, I believe you're going to pick out who you are in this, in these next few pages, because I think we all just decided or we all kind of read through it, and we all know who we are in these next few pages. So, guys, jump in here if you want. So we're talking about our higher power.
I like what it says, where it says, where you read, if you wish, you can make AA itself your higher power. And it says, here's a very large group of people who have solved their alcohol problem. In this respect, they are certainly a power greater than you. And that's really what I felt in the beginning, because as I read on, was the drifter. And the drifter, is someone I diverted from my childhood faith. I had the overconfidence of my youth, which was too much for me. Material success is where I felt I was winning the game of life. And the win, it says the will to win would carry us through, which is what I thought it would. I was winning and winning, and I thought that will would carry me through, because I didn't have those yets. I didn't have a DWI yet. I didn't lose my house yet. I didn't lose this yet. Right. I was totally on that river of denial, because I hadn't hit those yets. And then on top of that, I was going on my own willpower. And then when all my scorecards, it says read 0, and we saw that one more strike would put us out of the game forever. That's when I had to take a look, right? And I was actually in recovery at this point where I was the drifter. I had overcome my river of denial. I had accepted that I was an alcoholic and that I was powerless over alcohol. I knew what my problem was, but I needed to find that solution. And the solution was, at first, having a faith in the group of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I had that faith because they had something that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And I certainly didn't have it yet. There was my new yet, right? So I wanted to put my head down and get to a place where I could find my higher power or get back to my faith, right? But I got to be pushed into that in that direction. And I don't know if you want me to go into the spiritual experience.
No, I want to just hear from Carl and Skylar about the higher power AA itself. What's your guys' thoughts on NA for you, Sky, or AA, whatever you want? But what's your thoughts on the higher, AA or NA being our higher power?
So I think it's hard. I think it just depends for everybody, because it's we come in here with these histories, and depending on our history, coming to believe can actually be painful, that the NA workbook talks about. You know what I mean? I think actually it's a how and why. So it's to let go of some of those things we grew up on, or maybe something happened to us in a religious setting, or, and that now we've, transferred that into, both. So a lot can be said for that. And I think that when we come in, I was so angry that seeing what the group had and hearing different experiences of what their higher power were kind of helped me come along. So that's why I think I agree with you, the group, so much, because even if I didn't have one, I heard what you guys thought, and I'm like, okay, oh, maybe, like, compare and contrast, or maybe I liked an idea you were, so I'd kind of pull that and like kind of mold it to mine. So that's what I kind of liked about hearing the group,
Yeah.
So.
And I know I was so fucked up when I came in that I didn't,
Let's not talk about past tense, okay, Shelly? Keep it in the present tense. I just want to make sure you.
I'm so fucked up now.
Yeah, just keeping it clear.
But that I didn't like, what's this higher power? But like Tiffany said, I got into this room and these people were laughing and singing and dancing, and no, that was the wrong room.
Table.
But
That was the Elks Club. Shit.
Yes, the Elks Club. But no, everybody was happy. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I just gave up my best friend. I just left alcohol and cocaine at the door to come in here to this bullshit. Really? What's going to happen? And almost 28 years later, look, it's just, I'm glad I left it at the door, and I'm glad I looked at the room as my higher power. And of course I got into, working the steps and got into my higher power. So Carl, did you have an experience that AA was your higher power, or?
I did.
What was that about?
Because I struggled for a very long time. I think I talked about in the last episode. I struggled with going into meetings, and I would be that dude that was like, always talking about this spiritual dilemma, quote unquote. And then it's always funny to me. And I think about it today, which is like, I think about, there's a line in the book, we, all we had to do is pick up a kit of spiritual tools, do we go on drinking, or do we choose a spiritual solution? And it says, like in the book, like these two are not always easy to, whatever to choose between. And I said, it's just kind of funny when you really think about, like, go on drinking, plotting out the life that I, whatever, or choose the spiritual solution. It's like, okay, when I think about going on drinking, it's like, okay, I'm shitting my pants, I'm shitting blood, I'm definitely suicidal, and it's like, am I really gonna choose that over like this spiritual thing? And you know what? And I wrestled with that decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's talk about insanity.
Yeah,
that's like,
my pants are clean underwear. Shit, my pants are clean underwear.
Yeah. I mean, which one do I really want? Do I want my wife and kids to leave me, or it's like, it's so fucking strange. So but I mean, and I genuinely like the denial for that shit is like, to believe that you, as a person, you literally sit and weigh this shit seriously. Yeah. Like there is no like, that's ridiculous. Of course I'm going to choose a spiritual path because that is a better path. Right. But no, when you're in your sickness, you're like, oh, it's like, well, let me weigh this out. So I just think it's
so writing pros and cons out.
Yeah. Does a spiritual path come with a 6-pack?
Yeah. Like,
no, I don't know,
can I still drink when I watch football? Can I only drink when I watch football? Whatever.
There's a story in the book called Crossing the River of Denial. And you just talked about it, Carl. Like, denial of all those things was the most cunning, baffling, and powerful part of my disease, because you're like that insanity of, should I really make this choice to move forward or go on to the bitter end, right? That it's really there. Like, you're really contemplating.
But that it's an actual decision today, like that to think about. My brain was like contemplating, drink to the bitter end or a spiritual solution just seems ridiculous today.
Right.
But in the moment I was like, well, yeah, I mean, okay, how much vodka can I have if I, it was like, none. Like, what? Like, so I gotta go, it's so insane. So I needed the group in order, and I think you guys covered some of it, just to see the varying degrees of experiences that everybody has spiritually, spiritual awakening versus spiritual experience. I needed to rely upon that for a really long time because my thinking was a little fucked up. And again, it's not that we're self-flatulating where it's like, oh, I don't know how to think. No, God gave me a brain and I get to use it. Do I always use it correctly? It's like, it's not, I can't really judge that. But,
that's a fucked up answer. He can't even answer that right.
Right. but
That's
that's
how fucked up his brain is.
but so that's the point is like, God gave me a brain to think. So it's not like I really don't agree with the statement of like when people say in AA, it's like, oh, my best thinking got me here. It's like, no. Your worst thinking got you here. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, your best thinking is
Yeah.
keeping you here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the idea how I really looked at it. And so I was like, so I was again partly like the belligerent one as well as the intellectual, right? So I needed to find like first of all, I was defiant, and then I was intellectually defiant. So and I wasn't about to take that humility step either, right? I couldn't do that. So so I had to think my way through, and I had to rely on people. And people said stuff like, oh, make a chair your higher power. And I was like,
No, I couldn't do
wrong.
that.
I couldn't do that. Like,
Wrong answer.
yeah. Or the doorknob. Some people said, oh, make a doorknob of like, so every time I open the door to this meeting hall, like that, it's like, okay, well then just what it's one step away from the group. Just make the group. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, because that seems to always show up, right? And it moves other places, and it does. You know what I mean? It's like
They're all around the world. Go figure.
Yeah.
And they give you some good information in those groups too. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. So, and I even heard some dudes talk about like, he's like my superpower is a Green Lantern or whatever. His higher power was a Green Lantern, and I was just like, okay, this is ridiculous shit. But
we can have higher powers like that. Can I have Wonder Woman?
But here's the point. Here's the point is that's how simple it is to move on to the steps. That you can believe whatever you want to believe in as long as it pushes you into the next step, which is step 3. Where it says at the end of step 2, there should be a word that says next.
Well, in this case, it says, what you read about, and we're going to go back a little bit. It says, surely you can have faith in them, which is talking about the AA, that you've solved their alcohol problem. Even this minimum of faith will be enough. You will find many members who have crossed the threshold just this way. Yeah. And when we say that, it's like, that's us, right? A lot of people just glommed onto this group. And I got to tell you, like when I was younger at 20 to 25, and going to NA, it was a really tight knit group. I love that group so much. I'm still, thankful for the experience. I still know those people and talk to them on the Facebook and everything. There's a few people that stayed around, and I maintain my sobriety. Basically, they talk about the 3 parts of the triangle, unity, service, and recovery. Like I literally stayed sober for those 5 years on unity alone because I didn't do service and I didn't do recovery. So I stayed.
That shows you how strong it is.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people in the groups that are just like that, right? That can still be helped, right? Yeah. But it even says that once you have moved across that, that bridge that we're talking about, then your faith deepened, right? Yeah. It's just being open-minded and willing, like you were talking about what Rob said.
So, and then the idea, and I'm going to say it this way because I'm sure a lot of people think the same thing I do. The words, keep coming back, right? When you talk in a room and you're like, and I used to always think that they were just being assholes. It's like, I just thought that they were being condescending. And it's like, because I would talk about having a hard time spiritually and talk about not being able to get this fucking higher power thing. And it's just not, I'm worried I'm not going to get it or whatever. And then as I was leaving, like, so there'd always be an old timer who was always a believer. He's like, keep coming back. And I would be like, fuck you too, and I didn't say it to him, but I said it on the inside. Right. But that's the thing is like, I always just thought he was being a jerk. And the truth was, it's like, he was like, what you're saying, Tiff, is like, he was literally being serious. And sincere. He was like, keep coming back because like, that's the only way that you're going to ever, step onto the broad highway, quote unquote, you know?
Right. And you were still, you may not have been physically sick anymore, but you were still spiritually sick. And it pushes you through so that you can be relieved of that obsession of alcohol. You can, get through it. And you can make it a long time in sobriety by just going to meetings.
Well, we were talking about two-stepping, remember?
Yeah, two-stepping.
Two-stepping. And you can make it a long time on two-stepping. It's just you're not going to get and you can stay sober and you can do good things. You're just not going to get the growth that you need.
No. You might feel like crap inside.
And it will only bring you so far, right?
Yeah.
So 1 in 12 is the 2-step you guys talk about, right?
Yeah. So, and Carl,
admit and then service.
Yeah,
exactly. Taking care of yourself and taken
And
care
then
of.
trying to take
Real
care
quick,
of
I'm gonna read you read this and
Go ahead.
it's so similar. It talks about this in the step working guide. It says in this step we don't have to have a lot of specific ideas about the nature or identity of that higher power. That sort of understanding will come later. The kind of understanding of a higher power that's most important is to find in the second step is an understanding that can help us. We're not concerned about the theoretical elegance or doctrine adherence. We just want something that works.
We sound like a lot like drug addicts at that point, don't we?
Right?
Yeah.
Just something that works.
I just want something that works. I want a new drug, one that does what it should.
Yeah.
Hey, let's write a song about that. But
So,
go ahead.
you know, what Sky just said is kind of talked about in the spiritual experience on the back, in the back of the book, kind of in Appendix 2. They have it written all over where they're talking about step 2. Go to Appendix 2. Go to Appendix 2, and it's called the spiritual experience, which talks about the differences between a spiritual awakening versus a spiritual experience, and how most of us come to a spiritual awakening, but how the book starts out, it really, makes it seem like you have to have that lightning bolt, right? But most of us are of the educational variety that brings us into our faith. And what Sky said in the back here on the last page, it says, most emphatically, we wish to say that any alcoholic capable of honestly facing his problems in the light of our experience can recover, provided he does not close his mind to all spiritual concepts. He can only be defeated by an attitude of intolerance or belligerent denial.
And you said concepts. You said spiritual concepts. You know what I mean? So
it could be the Green Lantern, could be the doorknob, could be anything, right?
Wonder
but then
Woman.
all these concepts.
Don't forget Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Oh, you but
cleavage clips.
Willingness, honesty, and open-mindedness are the essentials of recovery, it says. And then there's that principle they talk about where it talks about contempt prior to investigation, where we
the 12 step won't work for me.
Right. Yeah. It won't work.
But I've never done them.
Yeah. I love that one too. This isn't for me. I've heard it.
Other people do it and failed. Right?
I see all these people, whatever, but it doesn't work for me. But that contempt prior to investigation is really where I don't want to be. I want to be open-minded.
Yeah, because I did that too. That's what kept me out. That's what kept me drinking, is that contempt prior to investigation. Because honestly, here's the worst part. Well, the best part depends on your point of view. Is that once I did the 12 steps, I stayed sober. Go figure.
Oh.
Right.
Reality. What a concept.
And you're happy. Right.
Well, let's not go too far. I mean, it took me some work after that, but
once we get into the penthouse forum, he's gonna be much happier.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hey, I do want to show you something. It's the sharing is disabled. Because somebody enabled sharing. I want to show you. Sure. In ACA, they actually asked us to draw pictures of our higher power, which is really weird, right? So. And I didn't really, at the time, this is only like a couple years ago. And to me, it was like, so if you're looking at your screen, it is like, it's like, I just put, it's like the smallest of particles. It's like unknowable in that sense. It's like smaller than small, undetectable, right? And then I found a word that actually went along with it, and it was numinous. And numinous was like this, ability to be spiritual. It was a spiritual surpassing all comprehension and understanding, and it's mysterious. And I just was, so I love that. So I put all these words around it too. It's love, it's purity, it's the truth, it's undetectable, it's unknowable. There's no words to describe it. The source of all things, the way, you can consider that Taoism, or you can consider that Christianity, whatever you wanted to do. It's just indescribable. And it's the center of all things is really what I thought about it. I just thought that was kind of cool. Like, ACA challenges you along that line, and then they're asking you to create this picture, and I was like, you should have seen some of the pictures that the other group created. I was like, mine is so fucking way better. I'm just saying. but that's the idea. It's like something, so it can be anything that you would like, right? So like I just sit there and went, you know what? Like it's this, this force of the universe that participates, and I don't get to question it. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't get to, right? Because if it is, and like what they say in the big book, it either is or it isn't. God is either everything or he's nothing. And to me at that point, that made the decision for me that God is everything. And I mean everything. Right? And so I don't have to. And so so let me cheat with my Herb K book. He talked about let me find the actual things. He says, like, basically it's up to us to think honestly, search diligently within yourself. With this attitude, you cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief should come to you. And that's the AA big book. It says, search diligently, search fearlessly, think honestly. These describe the attitude necessary for faith and our first conscious contact with God. In sailing, attitude in sailing, the thing that's, sailing a boat, attitude is the position of the sail that allows it to catch the wind and power the ship to move forward, right? It powers the ship. That's what needed is the attitude. So perhaps searching and thinking are the ingredients for us to catch the breath of God, right? And so, and so it's like, just a really great concept, right? So, and then the other thing they talk about is like, all life, especially spiritual life, is a dynamic and rhythmic process. So I don't know if you guys have ever been exposed to this, but the fact is that we start at one point and we go from ascent to descent, and then and then another crisis, and then we descend again, and then so from a spiritual standpoint, we go through this rhythmic undulation. So at this point, this undulation doesn't just go up and down, right? But it goes up and down at an angle, right? So if you can imagine like a 45-degree angle. So, and I think this is what happens with us as we grow spiritually. And what happened with me spiritually is I was gaining these moments where I felt like they talk about the pink cloud, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I feel it. And then I would come down like, I don't feel it. And then it's like, and it would suck, but I still had that knowledge of feeling it.
Yeah.
And then
That hope too.
yeah. And then that hope. And then the next thing I knew was like, I feel it. And see, the longer I stayed sober, the more I would climb up that 45 degree.
And that's growth. That's the growth.
And that's growth. But then to me, as an addict alcoholic, any level of thinking poorly or falling into descent was fucking, oh my God, I couldn't stand it. I'm going to die. Get me a drink. This sucks. Oh my God. So, and then, but here's the thing. If you hang in there, you get so far from that bottom that you were when it was 0 degrees all the way up to this, stage that you're now at this 45-degree incline.
Yeah, but we're still, but as we go up and down that or that little graph that kind of Carl was showing us with his hand that I'm doing this. So, but you keep spiritually, physically, mentally, everything growing. So like Carl said, you're getting so far from that bottom that you're way up here now, but you're still going to have the ups and downs of everything. Well,
and you learn how to deal with those downs a little bit differently as well. And then
you start sweeping away those prejudices, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Building upon, and that's what the spiritual awakening versus spiritual experience is. A spiritual experience goes from fucking 0 to 100, and they're already there at the top, and they just come, good for you guys. That's wonderful. I wish that could happen for everybody, but it doesn't. But a spiritual awakening is that slow, incremental building growth. And then the other thing here is I want you to consider this is like there was a Thomas Merton is a Trappist monk. He said, reflected that God is that mystery whose circumference is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere and whose center is everywhere. And then, and then a couple other statements, which is one I really enjoy, which is God is closer to me than I am to myself. And those are the kinds of things that I like to think about that put me closer in touch with a higher power, because honestly, as I come into the program, I don't even really know who I am. Right. And God could do for me what I could not do for myself. How much closer could you get? And it still happens to today, to me, that God is doing things for me that I could do for myself. And you're right, Carl. That is, God is closer. Now, let me ask everybody here. You keep talking about God, and we're talking about God. What is your higher power? Who wants to answer? What's your? I just showed a picture.
Okay. Yeah, you do
What's
sort
your
of
higher
picture.
power look like?
And if you
You want my
guys wanna read-
PowerPoint for this? Is that what you want?
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
We
if
would
listeners-
PowerPoint from everybody.
listeners actually want to read about this, it's on page 55 in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Actually, directly where that one of those quotes.
You mean
were.
there's a book about this shit?
Yeah, there is.
Big book,
Where it
too.
says, it's deep down within us. God is deep down within all of us, right? And so what I'll answer your question first since I'm already
Sure.
talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
My higher power is God, and I mean the Lord Jesus Christ. When I refer to God, that's what I mean. I didn't have that always. Like I said, I came in with the group, and as I followed that 45-degree angle, which Carl talked about, and I got further along in the book, like on page 55, where it says, search deep down, within yourself to find it, because the consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. It says that in the book. It's sure to come to you if you're really looking deep down within. And what happened is, I started thinking, I need to learn more about this, just the way I needed to learn more about Alcoholics Anonymous. And so this is at the point in my life where I started changing everything that came into my body, meaning everything I listened to, everything I watched, everything I read changed, and I started researching my faith.
Mhm.
And I actually, this is going to surprise everyone, especially listening, because this is usually the opposite way. I decided to convert to Catholicism.
Wow.
Dun,
I
dun,
ended
dun.
Yeah,
You heard
I
it here on the
ended-
Friends of Recovery show, guys.
I ended up
Breaking.
doing a fifth step. I ended up doing a fifth step with a priest.
Wow.
And because I was so broken and needed
All right, Tiff, where did he touch you? Let's get down to the basics.
Well, that's the
Talking
thing. I
about
needed
this
to build
thing,
trust.
guys, huh?
I did need to build trust, right? Back because of things that had happened to me in the past. And so as I started to build that trust, I did that fifth step with the priest. I started researching the religion of my understanding from my
Mhm.
childhood. And then I opened up to the fact that, I guess, this is where I belong. And my higher power is Jesus Christ.
And you know what, Tiff? I have the opposite story of that. If
Yeah.
you guys don't mind if I tell my
Oh,
quick-
Yeah.
So the opposite of that is when I came in, I was the guy on page 31, 32, where it says, now let's take the guy full of faith, but still reeking of alcohol. That was me, but as it
Amen.
goes, yeah, as it goes in, I think it says, I'm not sure where it says it, but I was the guy saying, how could my God do this to me? How can this be done to me? I lost, my wife isn't with me. They got a restraining order. What kind of God does this? Well, God put me into AA. God got me sober. God got me to where I need to be, right? I did that shit to myself because I took my will back when I was drinking, buying drugs, and fucking every woman that walked past me, that was my will, not God's will, but what happened with that was, when we grew up, I grew up, Catholic, and it was, Catholic school, the tie, the same uniforms, the same this, short haircut, church every Sunday and every Wednesday afternoon, and altar boy, the whole 9 yards. It was really jammed down my throat, and not I shouldn't say jammed down my throat, but that really wasn't my belief of who my God was. The guy hanging on a cross, visualize that's who it is. My God, also the Catholic Church, again, don't take this the wrong way. I don't want to offend anybody out there, but is a punishing God. When they talk about him, say, confess your sins. If you bite the host, your tongue's going to bleed. If you drop food on the floor, kiss it up the guy, all that stuff. You know what? I don't believe in that. I believe that God is a healing and loving God. End of story. And that's my belief, not anybody else's, but that's my belief. And now I'll go to a church on a Sunday. I don't even know what church it is. Skylar, I took you to the church I go to. We were on a service on the beach. And here's how I found this. I was running through Cape May, and all of a sudden I looked to my left to the beach, and I was like, there's something going on over there. I'm like, me being a fucking nosy guy and want to be the fucking, want to be the whole center of attention. I'm like, maybe I can go over there and start talking. Maybe it's about A or something. So I walked over. It was a church service. So every Sunday, I go to this church service before my run, if it's in the summer, and in the wintertime, they have the coolest, neatest little church in the world. We don't kneel. We don't bless ourselves. We don't do the act of contrition. We don't do any of that stuff. And it's really, really cool because it's the God of my understanding, not somebody else's, the God of my understanding. So my story is a
My
little bit
sins
opposite.
must have been a lot worse than yours. Kidding. I was forced into the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Well.
If I wanted to get into heaven.
I'm going to hell no matter what. I go to 100 churches. I think I'm going to hell. At least hanging for a while. I'll be honest with you. So, but anyway, so that's my higher power. How about you, Sky? What's your higher power look like?
So mine's kind of weird because I have a higher powers. There's
Okay.
an S at the end, and that's me because like,
Yep.
I have this one alumni. We always joke about it. We always say universe it because he struggles with it too. And I'm like, dude, just give it up to the universe. Like that's what we always, but I'm like more like the hippie free flowing. Like I believe that like in nature, I believe that I hear it through you. You could be my higher power one day, Tiff, because something you say is exactly what I need to hear. So I'm like, holy crap. But I don't believe like doorknobs and stuff would work. I can't make sense of that in my head.
Yeah.
But I think that the evidence is really what gets me. Like universe is what I call it. You know what I mean? But and it's hippie and free flowing, but it's evidence. There's things I can't deny, tangible and something I can't touch, like not tangible. Like I've seen it both, and that's what freaks me out because I'm like, wow. And this step also showed me that like, okay, now the drugs and alcohol are down, and I'm still insane. I'm still doing stupid shit, and then I'm not high or drunk.
Amen.
There's something to this. I have to. And then think about it too, guys. Like, how powerful, like, do we really think we are? Like, I'm breathing, digesting, blood's flowing, my heart's pumping, all these things. I'm not controlling them right now. Yeah.
Making tiny humans.
Yeah. Like, I'm not in control of these things. But like, I think I am. Like, so how much power, like, do I really have over everything? Like my head thought I did,
Yeah.
So,
That's
about it.
Kathy Hutton talks about, her kind of idols changed within the Catholic Church. Like she talks like her higher power is Mary sometimes it's Jesus, sometimes it's whatever. And I think that's cool. That's another example. I actually was really, Skylar had a speaker a couple of weeks ago on the alumni meeting, which really changed my thinking, which really, I had a realization. This is, again, I'm of the educational variety. She talked about, how I think it was Skylar that you had the speaker. She said it was hard for her to, because of her untrust and trauma with men, it was hard for her to picture a man as her higher power, right? So Jesus is a man, right? So she had to move on from that thinking. And she also went to Mary, as her higher power. But that was a changing point in my life a couple of weeks ago, because I thought, I wonder if that was what was hindering my progress of that 45-degree climb, right? On some of those down cycles, because
some of those old ideas.
I have trust issues, right?
And I mean, we were joking around before. Carl said, "Where did it touch you?" But what if there's people out there
that's happened.
I had to bring that up, Ed. Come on, I shouldn't have said it. Okay,
no, but I'd like to bring up that point because there's people out there now saying, "Well, I got molested by a priest, or I got molested by this," and that's the clergy.
Whoever.
Yeah, that's the person that's telling me God is good, and then he's doing shit that I can't even fucking wrap my head around. So why should I believe in a higher power? What the fuck, man? Really? You want me to believe in a higher power when he's fucking dinging my ding dong? Fuck you,
Right.
And so now where do I go from there? You know what I mean?
Right.
Do I drink a drug?
So, and in the Herb K books, he talks about, who do you need God to be? Right. If we have no human power to deal effectively with alcohol of the spiritual malady of self-centeredness, then God needs to be powerful. If your minds are inherently defective and we can't see what, that we can't see, and we don't know that we can't see, then God needs to be knowing. Right. And so again, all powerful and all knowing. So with an eye on step 3, having a relationship with that power, God needs to be present, accessible, personal, and above all, caring. So once you make those decisions, you are basically like putting that stepping stone in place. And so for me, I had to come to that understanding is that like that not only was, God like this all powerful, all knowing, thing in the universe, but again, I had to start applying like these like traits to my higher power. And that's where I was like, you're fucking losing me. Like, you know what I mean? Like if there's a God that is concerned with how I'm walking in this world, wrong God, right? It's like, so, but what I did understand is this, is that, when I looked at like Skylar, when I looked to the people around me, when I had a relationship with those people, right, I had, and that really helped me to start to consider step 3 as well, because now I had a relationship with the people around me. And basically is like, I have access to that power in a sense that I get to participate with, and have a relationship with all these other people, entities, nature, animals, life, energy, all this other stuff. So for me, that's kind of where it came down to is like, it was accessible. It was always visible. It was always there. It was, those types of things. And that I had a personal and caring relationship with it meant that other people did care about me. Other people did provide for me, and that I did that for other people as well. So I found a way to make all that stuff work in my own like little, higher power philosophy of the thing. And what, as far as I know, that somebody could comment below, if this absolutely applies to your religion, let me know, because I'm sure that you're going to say yes, 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 and yes. And so that's the thing is like, hey, I may go look into that religion and, enjoying that church for all I know.
But we don't even have to have a religion to believe in a God.
Exactly.
No. And that's the part here in the spiritual experience that where we already read that says, provided he does not close his mind to all spiritual concepts, then most emphatically means in a forceful way, without a doubt, we wish to say that any alcoholic honestly facing his problems in the light of our experience can recover. Anybody can recover if we don't close our mind to this.
So
to any concept.
Once you do that, you're on your way, and then you got to go into step 3, which is next month, which is a whole nother story. But I tell you right now, it sucked for me. But anyway.
But what a great example.
Have you back on for step 3.
What a great example of what we're talking about, because all 4 of our little Hollywood squares here had a different idea, a different concept, but yet we're all tied together.
Can I be the really flamboyant guy though? If you're doing Hollywood squares, like, hello everybody. There's always one, right? There's always one flamboyant dude. Yeah.
So Carl, so your higher power is what?
Do the picture.
I should do a picture.
So that's your higher power?
Numinous. My higher power is numinous, like all knowing, all available, always there, full of power, working through people, like as Skylar says too, right? It's like, so the attributes that I do not feel that if my God had a personality, that means he could be angry or sad or mad or glad. And I don't like that idea, right? Okay. I don't like the idea that like, it's that, but what I do understand is that it's there and I don't need to question it. I don't need to participate with it. I don't need to like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It just is, right? Either it's everything or it's nothing, right? So that's mine. My God literally is everything. How's that?
Okay. And I like you.
Mine too. Do you want to get into it? Can I convert you?
My God can kick your God's ass.
I'm going to get you into those RCA classes.
my God has a switchblade and gun.
I can swear at my God, and then I can go confess my sins.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how we all have all different gods here, right? It's like Tiff was saying before. One's, Carl, I don't want to say the universe, but it's everything. So it's kind of like the universe. I don't correct me.
Whatever. You call it what you like. Yeah.
I like what you
higher
said.
Powers.
Higher powers. I like that you said that it's just there. It's just there. You know what I mean? There's no expectation except for what I kind of draw from it, right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, in the big book too, it talks about like I resigned from the debating society. I really did. Like I was like, nope, done. And I don't get to, first of all, we're just small freaking brain little meat puppets, man. We don't know shit. And it's like, so I just sit there and think to myself, like anytime I see like the, people running around espousing this and that and the other. I'm like, you don't know just as much as I don't know, so it's like, so nobody knows for sure. And that's what kind of causes my agnosticism, but I don't use that as like I used to, as a point to position myself, to make myself better than others, or any of, that's why when it comes to this conversation, we are down on a level playing field. And when I talk about a higher power that's personal to me, that's where it matters the most. I don't need anybody's, approval or disapproval of what it is that I have going on. It works for me. And that's it. So I could walk into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and I could hear everybody talk about God, Jesus Christ, and, you name it, all over the board. I am accepting, again, open for all spiritual matters, right? Like, that's what I hear. So when I hear people talk like that, I could participate because I know when they say that stuff and you say, and I used to think it was funny. Like it was like when people say, my high power was God, and who I call God, that kind of stuff. And I always thought that was code for my high power, who I call God, is like Jesus Christ, and and we're better than you. But when people say my higher power, who I choose to call God, could literally mean my definition. Because I just choose to say God as a shorthand. Right.
Well, and that's what it says in the book. That's exactly. and in the 12 and 12 in the beginning. God is a universal term for what we're talking about here. It means anything. So when those people say that too, I call it God. I think you must not know the definition of God. Because it can be any of us, anything.
And that's the important. And Tiff, I don't want to point this out to the listeners. That is the important part. Please don't get turned off by the word God or higher power. It is not a religion. It is not, you have to go get to confess. You have to get, it is not.
If anything, you would get more turned on, because most of the time when I hear it, it's another woman going, oh God, oh, you see what I'm saying? So if anything, you should go the other way, Well, did I go too far? Did I go too far?
No, not yet. Okay. We'll let you know. So we got the God thing down. And I know we don't have too much time left here, but could restore sanity. Skylar, I love your thoughts on restoring us to sanity. It's sometimes quickly, sometimes it's over a long period of time. Explain your thoughts on the restoring us to sanity part.
So I almost kind of think of,
and you cannot pass.
I almost kind of think of where I stopped having to act as if and I actually was really believing in something. You know what I mean? Because I think for a long time I thought I was being restored to sanity, but like I wasn't really learning anything. Because my first year I did steps, I went to meetings, I had a sponsor, I did all that I was suggested, but I was like, 1 and 12 in it. You know what I mean? Like I was journaling, got to a year clean. I'm like, I'm freaking miserable. Like this is like, what am I doing here? I got 365, but talking jail language. I got 365, but I'm like, what the heck? Like I don't feel better. And then when I called my sponsor, she said, we got some work to do. You know what I mean? And that was like when I realized like, okay, there's more to this. I can't just like will him to come to my door and me believe in him. I have to like work at this. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like where the restoration came, because I had to start putting in, I just start sledging swinging the hammer, getting the nails in, like literally start building.
You got to do the work to get restored to sanity. We can't just sit back.
And that means being vulnerable. Hey, Spons, I know we went over this, but I still kind of don't get it. I still feel icky. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that part is the part that, like you said, we have to really hammer the nails down and get into it. Everybody has a hard time with, I shouldn't say everybody. I know I had a hard time with the power greater than myself. You know what I mean? What is it? Is it God? How does it look? What does my God look like? Do I believe that cross guy, or do I believe the guy with the hand, with his hands with the holes in? No, I don't believe in any of that. I found that out. But restoring me to sanity, man, I was really fucked up. Like, how am I going to be restored to sanity? Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. I'm getting restored to sanity. But if we believe in a higher power, we stay away from drugs and alcohol, we start slowly but surely becoming sane. And that opens up, like you said, Carl, to step 3 and all the rest of the steps, because we have to be somewhat sane or somewhat coherent or somewhat on a level playing field before we get into the next few steps, And so my thoughts with restoring us to sanity is, if I do the right things, if I show up at meetings, if I take all the suggestions, if I think of all the stuff that I've done in the past and don't do that, right? All the shit, it's like the other day was opposite day, right? And I'm thinking to myself, shit, that's AA. Like whatever the fuck I think fucking opposite, dude, because it's all wrong most of the time, And my sponsor always tells me, Eddie, you can't control the first thought that comes in your head, but you can control the rest. So if I have this thought that I want to go use, or I have this thought that, my higher power is fucking me over, whatever it is, I can make a phone call. That's the next thought. I got to call my sponsor. I got to call Carl. I got to call Sky. I got to call Tiff. I got to call so-and-so. And that's the next thought. It doesn't have to be the thought in our head that's going to restore us to sanity. It's going to be our sponsor. It's going to be the rooms. It's going to be their literature. It's going to be this everything. It's not, we don't restore ourselves to sanity. God restores us to sanity, not us. Zero us. Because sometimes I'm thinking, well, how do I get myself? Early recovery. How do I get restored to sanity? Well, I don't get to restore to sanity. My God does it. My God does it. And I have to take these steps to do it. That's all I got.
What's the thing?
For me, it's when I began to open myself up to the possibility of healing that recovery offers, So I started opening my mind, and I started feeling opening up to the possibility of the healing that the whole recovery process offers. And that means doing the rest of the 12 steps, right? Yes. Being vulnerable, like Sky said. Once I started to open myself up to being vulnerable and got what the rest of AA offers me, right? My God, which put AA in my life, brought me through all of that stuff and restored me to sanity. But it was right at that moment I started to become a little bit more sane when I started opening up to that possibility that this could really fucking work, right? This could really fucking work, man. If I just do this shit, it will fucking work. Yeah. I can see it happening. And then the rest of my cup can be filled up, right? Because I was only at like a quarter, and it just wasn't enough. And I could see everybody else had more than I had. So I had to just be vulnerable to a sponsor, be vulnerable to that fifth step where I, confessed all my shit to a priest, right? And he said, okay, all right, let's move forward now.
And Hail Marys.
He didn't judge me. He didn't yell at me.
Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
He didn't tell me to go fucking do 12 Hail Marys. He did nothing. He comforted me and said, wow, you're just like the rest of God's people.
Oh.
And had fucking examples. From the Bible, right?
I love
it. Yeah.
He did this, he did that. Mary was a drunk, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff.
You mean Jesus' mom was an alcoholic?
Not Jesus' mom, the other Mary.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, and then the sentence before the promises changed my life when I read this sentence. It's on page 83. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. And when I read that, I was like, I could start looking people in the eye. And I didn't look people in the eye for the longest time. And that sanity just was like, oh, fuck, man. It was such a relief.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah, but what I noticed is that certain parts of our life, and Carl, I'm done, I'd like to get your thoughts on this too. Of this sanity part. You are insane, but we'll still let you talk about it.
Thanks.
But certain parts of my life got restored to sanity, restored quicker than others,
Oh, yeah.
And that was the will. That was the willingness of how much do I want to grow? How much do I want to learn? How much do I really want to dig into this and figure out what's wrong? And how can
that gave me hope. That gave me hope when those things started to change.
Yeah. You got the little things changing, and then you can dig deeper into those bigger things and bigger things and bigger things. Because, like Carl said, you got that up and down, up and down. Same thing with the restoring us to sanity, up and down. You're still going up, you're conquering the bigger things as you get up there, because all these little things as you're restoring yourself back and working the steps, believing in God, knowing that step one, that you're powerless over alcohol and my life is coming manageable. And he keeps pushing up and up and up those hills, to where our life has been restored. So Carl, how was your life restored to sanity, or is it? Or
well, you guys remember that AA meeting where everybody gets naked with the candles and the wax? You guys remember that part?
It must be a California thing.
Must be a California thing.
Yeah,
okay.
It must be,
anyway,
hot yoga in California.
Every Tuesday night at noon at 12, right?
AA's a little culty here in Southern California. Just saying. No, seriously. You know, it's all gradual. It really is. It's like, you know, my first year of sobriety, like it was the 4th of July and somebody threw a rock over the fence and a bunch of kids and it hit my stepson. And I was like, I fucking hopped over that fence. I fucking went after that group of kids and they were by the fucking 18, 19-year-old kids. They could all fuck me up if they wanted to. It's like 6 of them. But, you know, I'm just sitting there like, you know, whatever. And I was about to shove one against the cop car and just make a scene, right? Because the cop was in it. And I was like, well, of course, if I start beating on this kid, that cop's going to stop it, right? So that would be a good shot, right? And this is what I'm thinking, right? And so I'm walking up and I said, and I just said, hey, who threw the fucking rock, you know? And I got into it with him a little bit. And then we were right in front of the cop. But then I was like, you know, whatever. And I fucking turned and walked away. But I got back to the party because it was my neighbors that invited us. And my wife was like, oh, I'm so fucking embarrassed. And I'm like, embarrassed about what? You know, fucking, they threw the fucking rock. You know, she was like, there are 8 other adults at this party. You're the only one that jumped the fucking fence. Right. And I was just like, oh, yeah.
Because you suited up and showed up for everyday life.
Yeah. But, you know, again, my son wasn't hurt. You know, what am I risking? You know, it's like, you know, really, it's like, you know, I should just call the cops if I'm really that fucking offended by the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
But instead, I'm jumping a fucking fence and running after 6 fucking kids. And, you know, it's like, who does that shit? It's insanity. That's fucking pure.
You gave them a story forever, though.
Yeah, right. But
all dude who jumped the fence.
Yeah, remember? So, but again, I'm a year sober and I should not be doing that shit, right?
Yeah.
But now when it comes to the other little things, it's like, can I sit at the dinner table and get ridiculed a little bit and fucking take a joke? Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. But before I used to just like a big ass fucking baby be like, fuck you guys, man. I'm out of here. You know, and I like run into the fucking garage where like that's my normal path to a fucking fridge that no longer contains alcohol. Right. I'm like, and I open it up and I'm like, I see a bunch of fucking ginger ale and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. Like, that's who I am today. But, you know, again, like that progression of like, you know, no longer losing my little shit, that little bit of stuff that started to happen. And then, you know, even with that story about jumping the fence, I show up to my AA meeting that following Tuesday and I say, yeah, this is what I did over the fucking holiday. And then they fucking make fun of me. And you know, and everybody has a good laugh and that's all there is to it because it's that humility to be able to tell somebody else, not living my own shit. You know, I called my sponsor. I did all the work for that shit. I tell you what, I haven't done that shit since. You know what I mean? Like I haven't.
Recommitment. You recommitted to recovery.
Yeah.
It was the down part of your little cycle, and you came back up.
Yeah.
So, you know, so the sanity that comes, you know, it can be sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. It's funny when we say that in the meeting, you know, it's like you do the readings, like, and they read that shit, you know, the promises sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Yeah. I literally, every time I say sometimes slowly, I fucking raise my hand like I'm testifying, like, yeah, that's me. Sometimes slowly, like here I am, you know, it's like, and it does feel like that sometimes, you know, that it's like, I'll go, fuck, how long is this going to last? Yeah. And, you know, and they talk about this shit, you know, God using your defects of character. And like, you know, and that, you know, that this exists, maybe it exists for somebody else to learn from so that they can watch you go through that pain and then maybe overcome it. Right.
But also again, how hard are you working at it? Why is it moving slowly? But how deep are you in it? And why, you know what I mean? Are you paying
attention? Are you really putting that effort behind it? Like the next time that it comes up, are you doing the thing that were suggested to work over that stuff? Do you quote unquote pause when agitated? Because I know I don't fucking pause when agitated.
Don't be a dick.
Oh, I agree.
Don't be a dick pic.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Well, guys.
Before you close it out, I have a little sentence to read.
Sure, go ahead.
On page 337, it says, so I continued to put AA and God first, and everything I ever lost was returned to me many times over. The career I lost was restored with even greater success. The house I lost was replaced. And it goes on till everything was just right size for me. So here I am, sober, successful, serene, right? just a few gifts of the program.
Mileage may vary. I just want to point that out. So you may not get the things back, but I'll tell you what, you get exactly what you need. Right?
Yes, you get what you need.
I know my sponsor just tells me, Eddie, you get what you need, not what you want. Because if you got what you want, you'd be jipping your fucking self.
Yep.
And it's so true. If I got what
I would have just got a hand job in an AA parking lot.
I would have got my ex-wife back, and I don't even want to go there with a hand job. So
it would have been a secret society to use and drink for me.
Yeah. I would have, if I got what I wanted in beginning recovery, and I like that little thing. Where did you read that? Where is that from, Tiff?
337 in the big book.
337 in the big book.
It's a story in the back called Crossing the River of Denial.
Okay. All right. And I would have really gypped myself. So I thank God, my God of my understanding, not my religious God, my God of my understanding. And I thank God I got what I need every single day. So guys, great show. I think we covered pretty much all of step 2. I'm guessing. We really did
There's always more. What are you talking about?
Well, we'll do the clinical perspective next week.
Clinical's gonna be next week.
We'll really talk about the psychology of Dr. Young and things like that and have Jeff Sizell.
Hey, I got a letter from.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. As kids.
Blues Clues.
Blues Clues.
Oh God. So I got a letter from Dr. Young written to Bill back. Yeah. Did you get that too?
No, I didn't get it, but I know what you're talking
So here
about.
at the facility, one of the facilitators were handing the letter out, and he has the original letter. The original letter that was written. So he made copies of it, and it's hard to read. But I'll put it up on the Friends in Recovery Facebook pages. But it's hard to read. But then they also typed it out what it says, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And then there is a letter back from Bill to Young, and I think he has a friend of his. It's amazing, like all this stuff that that goes on. But you said that, and we have all that. So, but anyways, guys. So, like Carl said, can we go on? We could talk a whole year about step 2, step 1, whatever. We can really go on and all. But we're just trying to hit the points here, and really kind of clear things up. I like this show because this step can really intimidate people. And I hope we cleared it up that God doesn't mean religion. God doesn't mean that you have to go to church. That's not what it means. I hope everybody that was listening understood all 4 of us and all 4 of our gods. Not one of us had the same God. Matter of fact, Skylar had a few, right?
Right. And nor did any of us pass judgment on one another.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Well,
that's what I was thinking. So
tell you later.
Yeah, he'll text me later all the shit he wants.
Oh my God.
Can you believe she converted to Catholicism?
Oh my God. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Jesus Christ, why would you be? So on that note, we're going to close down that part of the show. But I would like Carl to tell our listeners, Friends in Recovery, about SoberPod. Carl, I want you to plug SoberPod a little bit. Don't hit the stop button. Just listen to Carl about SoberPod, because we really love SoberPod. I know we make fun of them and all that shit. They back and forth. That's why Carl's on the show. We had a really good. We ended up having a really great relationship, and we're helping each other out, really to help the listeners and help ourselves and help everybody who's out there. So, Carl, let us know a little bit about what SoberPod's about.
SoberPod is a podcast about recovery that doesn't sound like a podcast about recovery. Actually, the idea being SoberPod, it's very much similar to what we're doing right now, but you guys have like a lot of guests on and stuff like that. We don't do any of that stuff really, but I thought about changing it up. But it was primarily set up for us by me originally to help. This is the idea behind it, is that one alcoholic helping another alcoholic was foundational to recovery, right? Plain and simple stuff, and so that's what it was originally set up as. I had a friend who was going to be sober, and he had 12 days, and we had talked about, well, and this is like his 8th time where he had 12 days in the last 6 months or whatever. And I was like, okay, dude, like let's just get together. We'll be accountable to each other. We'll record your process as you go through recovery. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. And like the following week I had everything set up, and he had no idea I was coming. And I was just like, I got the domain, I got, all this other stuff. And then I'm like, so, come on a, Skype call and let's do this stuff. And, so we started to do it. He made it about 4 episodes, and then he bowed out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I did all this work. I don't want it to go to waste. So I got my first sponsor involved. He got his girlfriend involved, and it just so happened to be that I was agnostic, he was atheist, and she was a believer. And at that point, it started to roll. And so it was a really good process between us three. It lasted for as long as it lasted, but things change as things do. And so we kind of are all gone our own little different ways, but we picked up Chelsea. So now at this point, it's just me and Chelsea left. And so we're going through and doing our stuff too. So who knows what we're going to do in the future, but I'll tell you what, we have a library, just like you guys have a library of these back catalogs. So if you guys are like, oh, I'm tired of listening to these friends in recovery people, they're really disingenuous and they're really not, as honest as I suspect that they should be. No, and we do cuss a lot. I mean, I cuss. So here's the thing. I cuss like the wind blows, man. Like it's who I am. It's my nature. It's how I was brought up. And exactly. And Tiff is identifying. And so, I always said, and I say to my sponsor, and I say it all the time, I'm like, well, because sometimes when I'm feeling my oats in a meeting or on a podcast, I will be like, motherfucker, sucker, fucker, motherfucker, and I'm just like going at it. And then he'll come at me and he'll tell me like, dude, like I listened to last week's podcast, like, dude, you gotta cut it down on the cussing. Or I'll be in a meeting and I'll be like, F-bombing away. And then after the meeting, he'll come at me and he'll say, yeah, we really need to work on that. And I say, well, you can take Carl out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of Carl, right? And I'll tell you, he just, he's every time he responds with, he's like, we're working on it though. You know what I mean? And so I honestly, that's where all the cussing comes from. I'm just working on it. Of just a flawed human being like everybody else.
Right.
So that's what SilverPod is. Just a bunch of flawed individuals getting together, talking about recovery, who are passionate about it. And hopefully it's a nice little time capsule. It's really great to look back on. Yeah. I've changed as a person since going back as that too. So that's what I really love to see, is that overall change. And you guys do the same thing. Ed, I know looking back at like your cigar episodes when you guys were in studio and stuff, it's different, right? Are you not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah, it's life changes. And that's a good, that's kind of a good point that everything changes. Everything changes in life. There's nothing constant. There's always change in life, even in podcasts, and we get better, as far as everything goes through. But guys, all our listeners, please go over to SoberPod, also soberpod.com. I know Carl has a members only section,
which is only $2 a month. And that's just like, dude, we put out, just like you do, putting out 4 episodes, right? We put out additional content in the members only section, articles, blog posts, all these other types of things. We have like tools in there. Actually, we have like, download materials. Like if you want to go do your 4-step, like we have, like I collected a bunch of different 4-step materials, so you can like
awesome.
Pick whichever one in there. So you go to the members only section and find some of those free PDF things and print those out and start doing your 4-step. Exactly. And then it's all broken out. Like if you go to the members only section, you'll see that we have like all of our 4-step podcasts in a section, a page. We have and then we have like all the materials associated with it, so you can listen to all that stuff as well as go do your readings that you're supposed to do from your sponsor. And you know what I mean? It's like, it really gives you like a full range of being exhaustive. I love that stuff. It's good stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good awesome stuff over there, guys. And we encourage our friends.
I want my $2.
Friends in recovery. Come on, guys. Give SoberPod $2.
I want my $2. You give me my $2.
So anyways, that's our show. Step 2. Also, congratulations, Friends in Recovery, on 3 years. Friends in Recovery podcast on 3 years. We're very proud of that. Let's see some sober shout outs for that. You guys, some congratulations. Comment below. Thank you, Carl, for coming on. You're always welcome here, anytime. And I'm sure we're going to do more of this because it just works for us. And we appreciate it. And who knows, you might see one of us on his show. I've been on his show before.
I hope so. I've never been on Sober Pod.
I mean, I posted these on the show, so you kind of are on the show.
Yeah, you're on the show.
Nice.
Again, it's just like one of those, like the Brady Bunch meets the Harlem Globetrotters kind of a thing. It's like one of those weird things.
That's it. So, guys, until next week, stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.